James and Emily had been together for 8 years, their marriage built on what he believed was trust and love. They had met in college, bonded over late-night study sessions, and a shared love for travel. Over the years, James worked hard to build a stable life for them, securing a well-paying job and even buying their dream home. Emily, a freelance designer, worked from home, giving her the flexibility she always wanted. But lately, something felt off. At first, it was small things. Emily being distant, hiding her phone more often, making excuses for why she couldn't spend time with him. She used to be affectionate, but now she barely kissed him goodbye in the mornings. Their conversations, once filled with excitement, had become routine, almost forced. James tried to brush it off. Every marriage went through rough patches, right? He convinced himself she was just stressed. Maybe she needed space. But deep down, an unsettling feeling lingered. The lies started stacking up. She claimed she was meeting a friend for lunch, but James later found out that friend was out of town. She stayed out late, returning home with a scent of cologne that wasn't his. When he questioned her, she brushed it off with a laugh, saying he was imagining things. The final blow came when his best friend, Mark, pulled him aside one evening at the bar. "Man, I hate to say this, but I saw Emily at a restaurant last night with another guy." James' stomach dropped. "Are you sure?" Mark nodded.
"Yeah."
They looked cozy, laughing, touching hands that didn't look like a friendly dinner. James wanted to believe there was an explanation, but the doubt had already taken root. That night, when Emily came home late again, he watched her closely. She was glowing, a soft smile on her lips as she scrolled through her phone. When she noticed him watching, she tucked it away quickly. Something inside him snapped. He couldn't ignore it anymore. While she was in the shower, he hesitated for a moment, then picked up her phone. His hands trembled as he swiped through her messages. That's when he saw it. A string of texts to someone named Ryan. The messages were explicit, affectionate, and worst of all, filled with mockery about him. Asterisk, James has no idea.
"He's so clueless, lol.
Can't wait to see you again, babe." Asterisk. His chest tightened, his vision blurred with rage and betrayal. The woman he had given his heart to, the woman he had trusted more than anything, had been laughing at him behind his back. Emily stepped out of the shower, her hair damp, humming a tune. She froze when she saw him holding her phone, the screen still lit up. Her face paled. "James, what are you doing?" He lifted the phone, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. "Who is Ryan?" Emily's eyes darted between James and her phone, panic flashing across her face. But then, just as quickly, her expression shifted into something else, defensiveness. "James, why are you going through my phone?" she asked, snatching it from his hand. "That's a complete invasion of privacy." James let out a bitter laugh. "Privacy? Is that what we're calling it now? Sneaking around with another man and laughing at me behind my back." She crossed her arms, her jaw tightening. "Look, I won't lie. Yes, I've been talking to Ryan. But you're blowing this way out of proportion." His heart pounded. "Out of proportion?" "I saw the messages, Emily. The dates, the I can't wait to see you again, babe. Just tell me the truth. How long?" She hesitated, and in that silence, James already knew. 6 months, she admitted finally, her voice barely above a whisper. He felt like the air had been knocked out of him. 6 months. Half a year of deception. He thought back to all those nights she had come home late, all the moments she had pushed him away, all the times he had tried to fix things, thinking he was the problem. "And I suppose you were never going to tell me," he said, his voice hollow. Emily sighed, rubbing her temples. "James, our marriage has been dull for a long time. You've been so focused on work, on responsibilities, that you stopped making me feel wanted. Ryan, he makes me feel alive again." James clenched his fists, his nails digging into his palms. "So, your solution was to betray me?" She exhaled sharply. "I didn't plan for this to happen, okay? It just did. And honestly, I don't regret it." Those words hit harder than anything else. She didn't regret it. James stood there for a long moment, staring at the woman he once thought was his forever. "Then why are you still here?" he asked finally. Emily blinked. What do you mean? If he makes you so happy, why haven't you left? She looked away, biting her lip. That hesitation spoke volumes. James shook his head. You wanted excitement. You wanted freedom.
Fine.
I'm giving it to you. For the first time, real fear crossed her face. Wait, what are you saying? I'm saying I'm done, Emily. I deserve better than being someone's backup plan. Her eyes widened. James, let's not make any rash decisions. Maybe we can talk about this. He held up a hand.
No.
You don't get to cheat and then negotiate the terms of our marriage. I would have forgiven you if you had chosen me, but you didn't. You chose him. And now you'll have to live with that choice. Emily's mouth opened and closed, as if she wanted to argue. But she saw something in James' face, something final. She had made her choice. And now, so had he. James turned, walking away as Emily stood frozen in place, watching the only real love she had ever known slip through her fingers. The divorce process moved faster than Emily expected. James wasted no time. He filed the papers, moved out of their shared home, and cut all contact. There were no long, emotional conversations, no second chances, no drawn-out fights. Just silence. Cold, brutal silence. At first, Emily convinced herself she had made the right decision. She told herself James had been too boring, too predictable. With Ryan, things were fun, exciting. They traveled together, had late-night adventures, and lived in the moment. For a while, it felt like a dream. But dreams don't last forever. Reality hit fast and hard. Ryan wasn't the man she had built up in her head. He was charming, yes, but also irresponsible. He struggled with money, constantly borrowing from her and making empty promises to pay her back. He was flaky, forgetting important dates or canceling plans last minute. And worst of all, he wasn't loyal. The first time she caught him texting another woman, he laughed it off. Relax, babe. It's nothing serious. The second time, she found lipstick on his collar. You're being paranoid, he said. The third time, she saw the undeniable proof, messages to multiple women, the same sweet lies he had once told her. Emily felt sick. She had given up a stable, loving marriage for this? For a man who saw her as nothing more than a temporary thrill? One night, Ryan came home late, reeking of alcohol and perfume. She confronted him, her voice shaking with anger. Are you cheating on me? She demanded. Ryan smirked, pouring himself a drink. Come on, Em. You didn't actually think you were the only one, did you? Her blood turned to ice. You're joking. He shrugged. You wanted excitement, right? This is what excitement looks like. Emily felt the walls closing in on her. The thrill, the adventure, it had all been a lie. She had destroyed her marriage for a fantasy, and now, she was the one being left behind. The realization hit her like a truck. She had lost the one person who had truly loved her. The one who had been there through everything. The man who had given her his heart, only for her to shatter it. She thought about James. About the way he used to look at her, with love and devotion. The way he had been willing to fight for their marriage, even after she had betrayed him. And she had thrown it all away. For the first time since their divorce, she felt something she hadn't expected. Regret. Deep, soul-crushing regret. Emily stared at her phone, her fingers trembling as she hovered over James' contact. It had been months since they last spoke. Months since he had walked away from her without looking back. She had convinced herself that she didn't need him, that she had made the right choice. But now, as she sat alone in the apartment she once shared with Ryan, an apartment that now felt cold and empty, she realized the truth. She had made the biggest mistake of her life. Taking a deep breath, she finally gathered the courage to type a message. Emily *** James. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I was stupid, and I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. If you ever want to talk, I'd really love the chance to make things right. **. She stared at the message for what felt like an eternity before finally pressing send. Minutes passed. Then hours. Then an entire day. No response. Desperation clawed at her, so she tried calling. The phone rang once,
Twice.
then straight to voicemail. She tried again. This time, an automated voice greeted her. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Emily's breath hitched. He had changed his number. Panic set in. She checked his social media. Nothing. He had either blocked her or deleted his accounts altogether. She reached out to mutual friends, but they were distant, cold. No one wanted to talk to her. She had been erased from James' life entirely. It wasn't until she visited an old friend of his, Mark, the same one who had warned James about her affair, that she finally learned the truth. Mark didn't even try to hide his disdain when he saw her. "What do you want, Emily?" I just want to know how he's doing," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark crossed his arms. "He's doing great, actually. He moved to another city, got promoted at work." And he hesitated, as if debating whether to tell her the rest. "And what?" she pressed. "He's seeing someone," Mark finally said. "A really great woman. Someone who actually appreciates him." Emily felt like the ground had been ripped out from under her. He moved on?" she asked, even though she already knew the answer. Mark scoffed. "Of course he did. You think he was going to sit around and wait for you to realize what you lost?" He shook his head. "James finally found someone who treats him the way he deserves.
You had your chance, Emily.
And you threw it away." Tears welled in her eyes, but she knew Mark was right.
James was gone.
For good. And now, the only person left to blame for her misery was herself.